Good morning, students. Welcome to this session of Success at CA exams for Paper 5 Indirect Tax Laws. I am CA Shafali Jain.
I am CA Swati Agarwal.
And we both are your mentors for today's session. In today's session, we'll take you through special tips that will help you to prepare revision strategy before the examination. How you're going to revise when you are going to have your preparatory leave before the examination day. How you're going to manage time in the examination, and this way you will be able to improve your performance in the examination. So entire focus is there on the examination. We will be telling you certain key points that require your attention during the examination. So entire focus and the main objective is to enhance your score during the examination. In fact, this is the second session of Success at CA exam for November 2024 examination for final paper. And in the first session for this series was conducted last month, where we outlined you or apprised you regarding the tips or do's and don'ts during the examination. We told you the commonly committed errors which students generally commit, or we came across with interaction through the students, that the students commit these mistakes during the examination. So we took you through those commonly committed errors. And in today's session, we'll have just a gist of it so that you can. Today, we'll have a gist of that commonly committed errors also once again, so that those of you who are not there with us in the last session can also be aware of those errors. Plus, in the last session, we told you how to best utilize your time till the examination, because that was your preparation time. At that time, you were preparing for the examination. You still have 1.5 months left for the examination, almost 1.5 months, those who are preparing for second group. So they at that time you would have utilized those tips, those advice which we provide you in the last session. In fact, we told you how to stay motivated throughout the preparation time, during the examination, day before examination. Sometimes we get demotivated. So what are the practices which we can use for keeping ourselves motivated? Those of you who have not joined us in the last session of Success at CA exams, they can go through the recorded lecture also, because there are some of the memory techniques also we had shared with the students, and that can help you at this time also. Some of the things you might be in the process of revision, or you want to retain something for the examination and you're not able to retain that for the examination. So for that, we had shared very effective memory techniques, some acronyms, acrostics, then repetition techniques, and then the flashcards, different techniques we had shared with the students, with all of you, so that you can utilize them for the examination, for retention during the examination purpose. Then we shared the division. We told you about the division of syllabus, the applicable position of law for November 2024 examination, what are the relevant BoS publications, and how can you master any topic in case you find any difficult topic and you're not able to remember that topic for the examination. What is the technique for mastering that particular topic? So all these things were covered in the previous session. We told you certain do's and don'ts also. So entire focus was on the preparation strategy for the remaining period till the examination. Now, since at this point of time, now exams are very near, it's almost 2 weeks which have been left for the examination. So our focus today will be on the examination. How you can revise before the examination, what are the revision tips which we can share with you, plus how you have to improve your score during the examination, what are the things you need to remember during the examination, how you can utilize your time during the examination. So entire focus will be on the examination today. In fact, Gaurav Gangwani today we'll be discussing MTP also with you, mock test paper 2. We have posted a corrigendum also for that mock test paper. There are two small corrections in that mock test paper, which we have shared in the corrigendum. We'll be discussing that during the session also, those changes which are there. And before that, let us first of all discuss the revision strategy, that how you're going to revise during the examination, before the examination, sorry. Because you get 1 day preparatory leave for all the papers. And in that 1 day, you have to utilize your time to the best so that you are able to revise whatever you have done till now. So everything which you are able to revise, you will be able to recall during the examination. But something which you are not able to revise due to paucity of time, then it becomes very difficult. Though you have done that topic very thoroughly, but maybe in the examination, you may not be able to recall those provisions. So it's important you should revise thoroughly. The more you revise, the more you remember. The more you remember, the more you know. And the more you know, the smarter you grow. So revision is the key for success for the CA examination and for any examination, I would say. But for CA examination, since we have consecutive papers with just one preparatory leave in between, so revision is very important that we should devise the correct revision strategy for the examination. Okay. So, Swati, will you take the students through the revision strategy before the examination?
Yeah, as ma'am told you about the importance of revision before examination. So let us go through the revision strategy, which is relevant for the day before examination. First of all, you need to go through the let us recapitulate section, which is given at the end of each chapter of module 1 and 2 of GSC, basically. And let us recapitulate section is also given at the end of each chapter for module 4, that is customs and foreign trade policy. Further, you can also go through the Saransh, which we have developed. It is, very handy, and it contains a summary of significant all the provisions. And before how now I will tell you how to proceed to the latest recapitulate section and the summary Saransh basically. You need to start from the substantive provisions before progressing to the procedural laws. The reason behind is that the substantive provisions form the backbone of the GST law. In fact, whether it is GST or it is customs, first of all, you should go through the substantive provisions followed by the procedural law. But yes, we will advise you to first go through the GSC as it carries a higher weightage. It carries the weightage of 80 marks. So you may complete the GSC first. Rest, it depends upon your wish as well. You can start accordingly. So first of all, go through the substantive provisions, then move to the procedural law, and at last cover the enforcement provisions, which is this sequence basically follows the section-wise weightage as well. Then I will advise you to go through the tricky issues which is involved in the computational questions. See, tricky issues, now we have already discussed in the first session that when you go through the computational problems, that you need to keep a marker and the pen with you, and whatever issues you feel the more tricky and you feel that they are the gray areas for you, and these gray areas may vary from individual to individual. One student might feel one entry as a typical one, however it might happen that for the another students it is the easy entry. So depending upon your commonly committed errors by you, you need to go through those gray areas and tricky issues involved in the computational problems or any substantive provisions before examination. Then go through these gist of commonly committed errors. We already have discussed with the students in the previous session the list of commonly committed errors which we find to the communication received from the students via email, why they also meet us personally, and the feedback received from the examination. So you need to go through those committed errors. You can go through that previous session, and along with that you may have the list of your personalized commonly committed errors which may vary from individual to individual. Please keep that handy before examination, because these are the areas which are sensitive for you, for where there are higher chances that you may commit mistake. So please be ensured that you go through those commonly committed errors beforehand. Then another important thing which is there in this paper, the indirect tax laws, is the statutory updates. As you know that the statutory updates contains the recent amendments made by the CGSC, IGSC, notifications, circulars, as well as amendments made in the customs laws, as well as DGFT circulars for the notifications for the amendments of foreign trade policy. So you need to give the special emphasis to the statutory update for this paper to revise all the latest developments in GSC. In GSC, as you know that for amendments keep on coming very recurrently, mainly because GSC is also rule-based legislation. Is prima facie it is a primarily a rule-based legislation. So there is always a multiple more scope for amendments. So please pay special emphasis to the statutory update for this paper to revise all the latest developments in GSC. Then we have already discussed the division of syllabus, that this paper is of 100 marks and GSC carries a higher weightage of 80 marks, and part 2 customs and foreign trade policy is for 20 marks. Question paper, we know that MCQ portion carries a weightage of 30 marks and the 70% is a descriptive portion. So case scenarios, MCQ, will form of case scenarios only, and all the case scenarios, all the questions would be the application-based questions only. So from out of 30 marks of multiple choice questions, part 1 GST will carry the 26 marks weightage and customs and foreign trade policy will be of 4 marks.
In fact, one important thing here is, can we go to the previous slide? Actually, all the MCQs which will be asked from May 2024 examination onwards, in the last examination also, this was the pattern, that all the MCQs will be case scenario based MCQs. So you will be having a case scenario. Based on that, the questions will be asked, and answer to that question will arise from the information given in the case itself. So it's important that you should go through that case and then answer those questions. Those questions will only be the application-based questions. So there will be no direct question which will be based on the provision. Yeah, obviously you will be applying the provision for answering that question, but it will not be a direct answer, direct question which will be based on the provision. It has to be an application of the provision of law for answering that particular question. So all MCQs will carry 2 marks. For customs and FTP, there will be 2 small scenarios, and based on that, questions will be asked, 2 independent small scenario-based questions. Whereas in GST, there will be 2 or 3 scenarios which will be asked, and based on that, the questions will be there. Apart from that, 1 or 2 small scenario-based questions will also be there. But all the questions will be application-based questions, and GST has a higher weightage here as compared to 80 or 80-20 weightage. In MCQs, you will find that GST carries 26 marks weightage. So you have to pay special attention towards the case scenarios which are there for the GST.
Then coming to the question paper pattern of the descriptive portion, as we know that the descriptive portion carry the weightage of 70 marks. And out of 70 marks, question number 1 is compulsory. It carries 14 marks. And question 1 is only asked from the GSC portion. So it may be noted that the compulsory question is only asked from the section, basically the GSC portion. It will not be asked from the customs and foreign trade policy.
It's an important point that you don't have any compulsory question from the customs portion. And we have first question, which is compulsory. It generally asks for the computation of net GST payable. So it is a integration of all the provisions, all the substantive provisions of GST from the chapter starting from supply, almost till ITC. Generally, it has an integration, or it has a combination of all the provisions. Generally, almost all the significant provisions are tested in this particular question. So that is why during the section-wise weightage, which we discussed in the last session, any of you, if you have any query regarding anything discussed during the previous session, you can specifically ask it in the chat box, then we can answer it. Otherwise, we'll be focusing more on the examination today. But these things we discussed in the last session, that the section-wise weightage is very important. That is where you have to focus more with a section which has higher weightage. So substantive provisions of GST has the highest weightage in the section-wise weightage of GST portion. And you can see that first question is entirely based, with 14 marks question is based on all the substantive provisions. And apart from that, other questions are also there. So it has almost 50 to 60% weightage in the entire GST portion. And that itself signifies that how important this portion is. Yes, Swati,
Right.
please.
Then other than compulsory question, you have to attempt any 4 questions out of the remaining 5 questions, and each question will be of 14 marks each. Now, how these 14 marks will be divided is 10 marks question will be from GST, and 4 marks, 1 question each out of, one, like if it is question number 2, then it might have 2 parts or 3 parts, but 1 part will be of customs and FTP, and customs and FTP, each question will carry the weightage of 4 marks. Out of GSC, although it happens that generally the question carries 2 subparts. For each question, the question carry 2 subparts of 5 marks each. But it might happen that the division is, the division of marks is, changed. It is of 6, 4, or 5, 5, or 10, 1, 10.
Any number of subparts
Any
carrying
number of
2 to
subparts.
3 marks can be there in the examination.
Yes. Then points to be noted regarding MCQs is that all multiple choice questions are compulsory. There is no choice in multiple choice questions, as you have the choice in descriptive question. Right. And then there is no negative marking for wrong answer. This is a positive point for this MCQ portion. Further, another added feature is that there is no reasoning is required from you. You just have to quote the correct option. You don't have to mention the reason for the same. Then, as ma'am told you, all the MCQs will be application based and all the multiple choice questions will carry the weightage of 2 marks each.
So since no reasoning is required, you can save time in the MCQ portion. So when you are allocating time for the question paper, for all the questions in the question paper at the beginning of the examination, then you should keep this point in notice that you have to allocate lesser time for the MCQs. You do not have to give any reasoning. You just have to compute it somewhere in rough and then you have to provide the final answer. So comparatively lesser time can be allocated to the MCQ portion and you can save time there which you can use for the descriptive portion.
Then coming to the pattern of question paper, assessment of this paper, as we have discussed, 30% case scenario, multiple choice questions, and 70% is the descriptive questions. Preparation strategy, however, for MCQs as well as for descriptive question would be the same. It is only the manner of answering the questions which is different. The preparation strategy is same. You have, as we have discussed the importance of substantive provisions, so you need to have the strong command over the substantive provisions followed by the procedural and enforcement provisions. Because fundamentals, all the substantive provisions, basically the supply, charge, exemptions, time, value, place of supply, and the input tax credit are basically the backbone of GSE. So you need to have the strong fundamentals of GSC. Then only I think you will be able to answer that compulsory question in a best manner if you have a good strong command over the substantive provisions. Then for MCQs, as we have discussed, no reasoning is required. You as compared to descriptive questions, and there is no negative marking. Each MCQ will have 4 options with only one correct answer. And one another point I would like to emphasize here is that the answer of the MCQ should arise from the facts of the case scenario. Don't answer the question in the question given as multiple choice questions as a standalone. You need to apply the facts of the case. You need to correlate the question with the facts of the
Yes.
case. Then you have to answer the case scenario.
Whatever information is
answer.
given in the question, you have to see that information and based on that, that question has to be answered. So along with the relevant provision of law, you have to refer to the information given in the question. Today, when we will be taking up the MTP mock test paper, we'll be telling you all these points, how you have to actually
Proceed with
apply
that,
them. Yes, how you have to actually apply them when you are attempting them during the examination. Because we'll be telling you the approach theoretically, but that has to be applied, that has to be seen how you're going to actually apply or utilize that approach during the examination. So all these things we'll be showing you. And in fact, Iram Jumani has asked that will RTP questions be discussed. So Iram, RTP questions we will not be expressly discussing because we'll be focusing on mock test paper, and we request all of you that 2 mock test papers have been hosted or they have been given at your portal. So you should attend both the mock test papers under the exam-like conditions. Either you have gone to the branches for attempting them or you can attempt them at home under the exam-like conditions. They help you in assessing your preparation for the exam. So for revision purpose, before the examination day, the MTP is not advised. But during this period, this 2 weeks period before the examination, if you have completed your syllabus for the paper, then you should attempt these mock test papers under the exam-like conditions. So our focus will be more on the mock test paper and how you can, because we will take it to be a real exam paper. And how if in exam this paper would have come, then how would you proceed for this paper? That we would be telling you. But if you have any specific RTP questions, you can write in chat box and we will be answering that question.
Yeah, now coming to the how to manage time in the examination. So as you know that 15 minutes is given to you for reading the paper. So how to leverage those 15 minutes reading time which is given to you before the start of the examination. Just give a quick glance to all the descriptive questions except question 1. Except question 1, because if you will start reading the question 1 in depth, it will take more of your time. So we advise you to give a
and it is
quick
otherwise a
glance.
compulsory question. So you anyhow have to attempt it. You cannot leave it in choice. So that is why we have suggested that you should go through all the descriptive questions for which you have a choice. So see all the questions thoroughly, or not thoroughly, have a glance at it. Then see which are the subparts where you have to leave any of the, subparts of which you are not aware of. So if there is any question where you feel that this is the question which I know the least, or 2 or 3 subparts are not known to me. So that is what you have to do in the reading time, that you have to exactly locate the question that which you are going to leave in the choice. That is why we have not suggested you to read the compulsory question, because you anyhow have to attempt that question in the examination.
Then identify the descriptive question for which you feel most confident about. This will be the question which you will start first, answer first, setting a positive momentum for the paper. So just identify the descriptive question, out of optional question which you will attempt, decide the choice beforehand, and basically decide two things. One is the choice of the question which you will take up, and another thing is a question for which you are the most confident about, for which the answer, you know the answer in the best manner, and start with that question.
Yes. You know the reason for that? Because when you attempt the question which you know the best, it creates a very positive impact on your examiner. Because as soon as he sees your answer sheet and he finds your best answered question at the first, then it creates a very positive impact on the examiner that this is a copy which has very good answer. So this is a very good copy. So that way it goes through the entire evaluation process. So that is why we always suggest students to start with the best answer at the in the first place.
Then basically distribute the total time which you have available for writing the examination between the MCQ portion and the descriptive portion. Allocate estimated time for each question of the descriptive portion based on its difficulty and assigned marks. See, if a question is for carries 5 marks, then it doesn't matter that the length of the answer. Like if you end up in writing 2 pages or 1 pages, basically that is not important. You have to write the answer in commensuration with the marks which it carry, and you have to write the answer to the point, to the requirement of the question. Then we will advise you to reserve the 10 to 15 minutes for final revision of the answers.
Because in case you have to add to any question, you feel that you want to check the computation for any question, or some question you had done in hurry and now you feel that some figure, something you have missed out in the first place. So for that, if you can keep 10 to 15 minutes for revision, that is very useful. But most important is that when you are doing the question, try to adhere to the time limit which you have decided in the very first place. Because if you're exceeding too much the time limit, then leave that question there itself, and then you start proceeding to the next question. In fact, we thank Gaurav for the appreciation. Uh, Actually, we have devised this reading time strategy because this is something which has been started in past few years only. Earlier, when we were appearing for our examination, this reading time concept was not there. So we found it very positive thing that if we get 15 times for reading the question paper, then it sets the momentum for the paper, because we are all set when we get the answer sheet. We know that from which question we have to start, which question we have to do at second place, third, fourth. So we have to answer the questions actually in the descending order of our awareness, or the question which we find the best, that will be the first question, then second, then third, and this way we have to answer the question. So these 15 minutes time is very important. In fact, after that is the how to approach the case scenario based MCQs. Now, as we told you that all the MCQs will be case scenario based MCQs. So in this we'll be telling you during the MTP mock test paper also. Swati will also tell you, and I will also be telling you that these two scenarios which we have given in mock test papers, if they had appeared in the examination, how will you first of all go through the facts, then you go through the questions. So that is the approach. So first is that you have to give a very meticulous reading to the facts of the case scenario. After that, you have to go through each and every MCQ. Now, when you are going through the facts of the case, generally, since we know the provisions of law, we have just gone through all the provisions before the examination day. So every point we start, after reading the information, we start revising in our mind that this would have been asked in the question. This point is given, then definitely RCM provision would be there. This point is there, an exemption would have been tested, and here the ITC provision would have been tested. So what we would suggest is that when you are reading the case scenario for the first time, just focus on the facts, that what is the information which is given to you. If the provision comes to you instantly, that is fine, but don't spend time on recalling the provision at the time of reading the case scenario. Just go through the information which is given in the case scenario. Then after that, go through the questions, because sometimes it so happens that a particular expense is given to you, and where you feel ITC provision will also be there, then you feel RCM is also there, but the question has asked you something else for that particular item. So instead of wasting time in recalling all the provisions related to that particular entry, what we suggest is go through the scenario, then go through the questions. After going through the scenarios, questions, after going through the questions, for each MCQ, try to locate the information which is given in the question. So relevant information, try to mark the relevant information so that you focus only on the information in in the scenario which is relevant for that particular MCQ, and then you try to recall the relevant provision of law also. So for any particular MCQ, when you go through all the MCQs, then you start answering each and every MCQ. And first MCQ which you picked up for answering, then see what is the requirement of the MCQ, what is the relevant piece of information in the case scenario, which you have to identify from the case scenario that yes, this is the information which is relevant for answering this MCQ, and then recall the relevant provisions of law so that you utilize your time in the right direction. Thereafter, you mark the correct answer, which is there for that particular MCQ. Okay. Yeah.
As we have discussed already, how to manage time, in descriptive portion, you should write each answer in commensuration with the marks which the question carries, and write to the point, write the precise answers basically. Focus responses should be there, and try to adhere to a pre-allocated time for each question, which you have estimated, during your 15 minutes revisionary time.
So if you are exceeding too much that time, it is given here also that you can leave some space there and you can move to the next question. So it should not so happen that you know two questions properly and you have spent your entire 3 hours in those questions only. Whatever time you have allocated during 15 minutes, try to adhere to that time. So if 30 minutes have been allocated and now it's already 35 minutes, then leave some space there for that particular question and move to the next question. That is what. And regarding the answering the question in commensuration with the marks, you can see our suggested answers also. You will find that we have not given very lengthy answers, which you cannot answer, which you cannot write in the examination time. So every in suggested answers also, the questions have the answers to the questions are almost in commensuration with the marks which the question carries. Although the suggested answers have some additional points also sometimes for the information of the students, so that when you are revising that particular provision, you can have the understanding of that provision in depth. So that is also there. Otherwise, you have to write it according to the question marks which a question carries.
You can always move to the next question because you are leaving the space for that question, and if time permits, you can always return to that question and complete, add the points which you have recalled later. So strive to attempt all questions within the pre-allocated time. 6 average answers can fetch you more marks than 3 excellent answers.
Very well said.
Yes, so don't try to just give the best answers for the question which in the best manner. Your focus should be that you have to attempt the paper in full. Basically, you don't have to leave any question unanswered, even though your answer may not be, complete or true or correct.
And you're not able to answer that in the way you wanted to answer.
Yeah.
Otherwise also. So if you wanted to answer a question in the best possible manner, but time did not allow you, then also you can get marks because at least you have attempted that question.
Yeah, and sometimes it happens that in case of computation question, there are 5 or 6 entries are there, and then we have to compute the total GST payable or the total value of taxable supply. So even if you do not know the question or don't know the treatment of all the 5 or 6 items, even if you know the item, the treatment of 1 or 2, basically due to stepwise markings, you will get the benefit of these right answer to 1 or 2 steps. Though your net answer, your total amount of GST payable, total amount of taxable supply might get wrong, but at least you will get the benefit of stepwise marking. So even if you feel that you don't know all the 5 items which are there, if you know even 1 or 2, please attempt all the questions.
Yeah.
Then last and importantly is that stay calm and confident during the examination. Manage the exam stress effectively. You may practice the relaxation techniques like deep breathing or positive visualization that you are going to succeed in the examination.
That you should do every day.
Yeah,
every morning when you start your day, you should first of all visualize that you have become a chartered accountant, because you are all our final students. So you can visualize that. That will give you a kind of positivity through which will be there with you throughout the day.
Right. So how to answer the exam questions basically. Your answer should be, giving the due emphasis on the provisions of law. Quote relevant section number, but in case of section number, I will advise you to write section number only if you are, only if you know that it is the correct section number. It is better not to quote than to misquote the section number, because if you misquote the section number, your marks will get deducted. So it's better if you are not confident, don't quote it. You can write as per the provisions of GST law.
Yeah, in fact, that is very important piece of advice which she has given to you, that sometimes students focus more on section numbers rather than the provision. in fact, in the computational questions, while giving the reasoning of the computational questions, which we always stress upon, that when you are answering a computational question, for every item you have to provide reasoning. So while giving the reasoning, they just give the section number because they focus more on the section numbers. But instead of that, you should focus more on the provision. So you should write section numbers only when you know them for sure. Otherwise, please don't misquote them.
Yeah. And as it is a text paper, so there is always a scope of multiple assumptions, and because there is a scope of multiple interpretations, so there is a scope of multiple assumptions. And whatever assumptions you take, please give your assumptions very clearly in the answer. Please specify your assumptions. Like, for example, very simple point, it might not be given in the question whether the amounts given are inclusive of taxes or exclusive of taxes. So whatever way you treat the question, whatever way you assume and answer the question, please write a note below the table or below your answer that the above answer has been answered on the basis of this assumption. Then, as we have already focused at answer in commensuration with the marks which the question carries, first attempt the question you know the best and present your answers in a well manner. Non-computational questions and analysis-based, application-based, we have discussed, as the ma'am have discussed, that when you read the case scenario, you just recall the legal provision which is involved in the situation given in the question. Then you have to correlate and apply the issue in the questions which is given to you. Then you have to write the conclusion for the correct answer. Length should be in commensuration with the marks. Properly framed language should be there, and avoid giving generalized answers without capturing the correct legal provision. You can highlight your points in case of, as you know, that one question is a comprehension and knowledge-based question. So in that question, you can highlight the main points, you can underline, you can write in the bullet points with headings. Examples may also be given, and try to write the answers not in a very lengthy big paragraphs. Try to break your answers in brief points, in headings, and in brief paragraphs. So now we have already discussed with you in length how to revise basically, and how to utilize the time given to you in the examination, and how to present your answers in the best possible manner. Now we shall move to the mock test paper.
Yeah, and before that, let us first of all quickly recapitulate the commonly committed errors which we discussed last time, because after the session also we received requests from some of the students through mail that they want to know those commonly committed errors, though they can view that session, but in this session also for your benefit, because those who were not with us in the last session, let us first of all quickly go through those points, because we'll not be taking you through the PPTs. Last time we explained them with the help of the PowerPoint presentation, but here we'll be quickly going through those points, that these are the errors which students generally commit. And this is what you can do also. Like initially Swati must have told you that you should prepare a gist of all the commonly committed errors at one place, and before the examination go through that, so that something which you know that you do not have to do that. This is don'ts. So when we are focusing on do's, don'ts are equally important for examination. Scoring full score, or scoring a very high score in the examination, for getting a very high score in the examination, you need to know what you do not have to do. So first of all, as we told you, that you have to give proper reasoning for all the computational questions, for all the items of the computational question. So in case some of the items do not have any treatment while arriving at the answer, for example, in value of supply, subsidy has already been considered, or discount has already been given, so you do not have to treat that, or it is so that taxes are already included in the value, and you have to include that particular tax, like taxes apart from CGST, SGST, IGST, other taxes we have to include in the value. For example, municipal tax is given to you, and that municipal tax is already there in the value, and you know that you have to include it only while arriving at the value. So you know that you are not going to treat it, or you're not going to consider it while arriving at the value of supply. So many a time students in a hurry of the examination, they do not show it in the computation table. They do not provide any reasoning why they have not included it in the value. But it is very important, because the examiner should know that you had not done it by mistake, or you have not left that item by mistake while computing the value of supply. What is important is that you have to give reasoning for every item which is there in the question. So those items which you are not treating in the question, or for arriving at the answer, for them also you have to provide proper reasoning. Either you show them in the table, computation table, and then you write the reasoning that because of this particular reason there is no treatment given for this particular item, or you can show them you can give the reasoning in the notes, whichever way you want to present your answer. So both the presentations are fine. That in the computational question, you give all the expenses, all the outward supplies, and then reasoning can be given at the end of the table, or along with the expenses or inward or outward supplies itself, you have given the reasoning. That can also be the case. But reasoning should be proper. Instead of focusing more on section number, rule number, circulars, notifications, focus more on the provision, that why this particular item or this particular expense has been treated in this particular manner. So provide a proper suggested answers, RTPs, mock test papers for how you have to present your answers. That will give you an idea. That is very important, because we know the provision, we have written the correct answer, but we don't get the full score because we have not presented it in the manner it should have been. Legal provision, only adding and subtracting an item and arriving at the correct figure, correct amount is not the objective. You should know the correct legal provision also, and you should be able to reproduce it in the examination. So that is also very important. Second thing is that the reverse charge services. Now you have to, when you are doing your first question, especially in first question, this requires a lot of attention, that the reverse charge services, if they are given in the outward supply, then immediately it should strike you that yes, if any of my outward supply is a reverse charge service. That means the tax would be payable by the recipient and not by the supplier for whom we are computing the net GST payable. Then in that case, it will automatically make that particular supply as exempt supply. We know that exempt supply includes the services on which tax is payable or supplies on which tax is payable under the reverse charge. In fact, from May 2024 examination, it is very important to note that the reverse charge provisions for goods also have been included in your syllabus, and that is given in your statutory update. So all of you are requested to go through that also. So both reverse charge provisions for goods as well as services are there applicable from May 2024 examination onwards. So for November 24 also, reverse charge provisions for goods are there. Then when you are the moment you see any reverse charge outward supply, so it should click to you that yes, reversal provisions will be attracted. Any exempt supply is there, then expressly it is given to you, that will click to you that yes, reversal provisions will be attracted. But sometimes because of the reverse charge provisions, immediately it does not strike to us that yes, reversal provisions will be attracted, and students forget that. That is why their answer becomes, they offset the entire ITC which is given. So that becomes wrong. So that is also there. Similarly, ITC cannot be, in case you have reverse charge services or goods as inward supplies. So inward supplies which are taxable under reverse charge, if they are given to you, and when you are paying them, then please note that they will not be paid utilizing ITC. So you cannot utilize your ITC balance for paying the inward reverse charge services or goods, or any inward supplies on which tax is payable by the recipient, and you are computing the net GST payable for that particular recipient, then you cannot utilize the ITC of the recipient for paying that inward supplies, because the ITC can be used only for paying the
Output tax.
Output tax, yes, very important. So you have to pay that particular RCM liability in cash only. You have to take it separately, and you have to pay it in cash. However, you can use that particular RCM supply, the GST paid on that particular RCM supply, ITC of that can be taken in that particular month. So you can use it for paying other outward supplies, but for paying that particular inward supply, you have to use cash. Okay.
There's one query Mr. Dilip has asked. Ma'am, for case law question, should we answer in any specific format, or we can answer just the essence of case law in this decision?
Yeah, please explain, because generally students have this query.
As such, there is no standard format for answering the case law based question, but one personal advice we will give you is that in case of case law based question, just don't rush to the conclusion in the first place. What is the reason behind is that in case your conclusion gets wrong, your complete all marks will get deducted. So we will advise you in case of case law based question, first of all, give the issue of the case, what has been the requirement, what is the issue, what is being basically you can
conclusion
say
or the observations.
What is the doubt of that case scenario? Then apply those facts of the case scenario which is given in the question to the legal provisions which gets applied in that case scenario. Give the correct legal provisions. Then you correlate those legal provisions with the issue involved in the question, And in the end, you may quote at the fourth page, you may quote the name of the case law if you remember, or you can write in that case also, it has been discussed in a judicial ruling if you don't remember the name of the case. Then at the end, give the conclusion, because it might happen that during examination pressure, or even though you understand the case, you know the correct legal provisions, you are able to apply the same, but you end up in writing the wrong conclusion. So if your conclusion gets wrong in the first place, if you write it, your whole answer will get deducted. So it is better that first of all you write the issue involved in the question, then you write the legal provisions which get triggered in that case scenario, then you apply it. In the fourth page, you mention the name of the case law if you know it correctly. And at the end, you give the conclusion for that case scenario.
So observations of the case law also have to be properly brought in the question or in your answer particularly. So when you're writing your answer, as Swati has correctly pointed out, that you should not write the conclusion in the beginning, because in the hurry of the examination and under examination pressure, you might end up writing the wrong conclusion. You want to write that, yes, it is correct. You might write it is not correct. So better is that you write the, first of all, the observations of the case law, then what is the doubt which is, or you can say issue which is there in the question which has been asked to you. And after giving the correct legal provisions also. So in case law based questions also, the legal provisions also should be aligned with the answer. And then finally, we should arrive at the conclusion. Okay. So should we start with the mock test paper now? And in between, we'll tell you, keep telling you other important points which you have to keep in mind for the examination.
Mr. Gaurav has asked about the horizontal for mock test paper.
No, I have already explained it. So this is the mock test paper, second series we are taking, because I think most of you would have, it came on 5th of October, and all of you would have, most of you would have seen, we suppose, and those of you who have not yet seen, then they should first of all prepare. Here we'll be telling you the overall approach and we'll be taking scenarios here today. But otherwise, we will suggest the maybe MTP1 series 1. Those of you who have not yet attempted, first of all, complete your entire subject syllabus and then attempt it under exam-like conditions. Here we'll be focusing more on how you have to approach that during the examination. So we will be starting with scenario 2, or should I start from here? You may use it. Afternoon. So case scenario 1. Now this is, suppose this is the examination paper which you have got. Now these scenario based questions. As we told you that you should first of all go through the scenario first, the information given in the scenario, then you should go through the MCQ and then try to find out the relevant information. So we will proceed in the exact manner in which you should attempt the scenarios in the examination. And those students who have joined us live, so we would advise all of you to keep solving these MCQs along with us and provide us the answers, so that the session becomes interactive and we also come to know that where you are finding the problem actually in solving these scenarios. So the scenario says Abhivakti Private Limited is engaged in supply of food products. So this is the supplier for which we have got the information in this scenario, and it is engaged in supply of food products under the brand name Superfoods. It has a plant at Havra, West Bengal, and it is registered under GST and is a monthly return filer. So why monthly return filer would have been given to you? Because if that means the supplier is not a QRMP supplier, quarterly return monthly payment supplier, and his place of registration is Havra, West Bengal. It has allotted residential quarters to its employees within the plant premises. So residential quarters is an important information. Generally, the companies or the business, they provide residential, generally in the places where it is difficult to commute, or it is a plant where the manufacturing is going on, they provide the quarters to the employees or to the staff within their premises, within their plant itself, within their manufacturing unit itself, somewhere near to the manufacturing unit also sometimes, so that the employees can easily commute, or they don't spend time on commuting to the workplace. Now, the aggregate turnover for the preceding financial year is also given to you. So it can have some impact in the questions, but as I told you, just go through the information and then see whether it has any utilization, any use in any of the MCQs or not. Then we have the other details which are provided by the company for the month of September. So I think so that shows us that information which is given to us, primary information is with regard to September. So in case they ask us the value of supply or they ask at ITC, reverse charge values, then that would be asked for the month of September only. Okay. Now, the particulars which are given to you, sale of superfoods food products. Now, superfoods is our brand and it has given you the food products. Purchase of raw material from the market. So this is so here you can see that all the inward and outward supplies have been given in one table itself and they have not segregated the inward and outward supplies. Now, when we find a question like this, then we have to be all the more careful so that in a hurry in the examination, because we know that under examination, all of us are in great pressure and we tend to treat otherwise that some of these purchase items, we might not take it as a outward supply. So we have to be very careful. So this is an outward supply. Then purchase of raw material, obviously an inward supply. Rent received from its employees for residential quarters allotted them for residence. Now, this is an outward supply which we have given to our employees. We have given residential quarters to them and we have taken some rent from them. So that is an outward supply, renting of residential dwelling. And on electricity charges paid to the West Bengal State Electricity Board. Now, this company has paid some electricity charges to the West Bengal State Electricity Board. So this is an inward supply actually, which it has got from the West Bengal State Electricity Board. Then another inward supply which is given is security services. Security services provided by Messrs Suraksha Security, which is a partnership firm. Okay. Interest on delayed payment collected from customers. Then we have interest on delayed payment. Then interest on fixed deposit. And payment to Kolkata Chamber of Commerce registered under GST towards sponsorship for Investor Summit at Kolkata. Now, this is the sponsorship service. In fact, sponsorship service is something where students commit the most of the mistakes or they are mostly confused about the treatment of the sponsorship services. We have this sponsorship service in scenario 1 as well as in scenario 2 also, and we will be telling you the exact treatment, how you have to treat the sponsorship services if it appears in the examination. Then we go through the other information. License fee paid to FSSAI, Food and Safety Standard Authority of India. So those students who are from earlier, who have given this earlier attempts also, so they might be who know the GST provisions 1 or 2 years back, they must be knowing that earlier the license fee paid to Food and Safety Standard Authority of India was exempt, but now it is not exempt. Though I am telling you the provisions at this point of time, but when you are reading the question, don't go through don't try to recall the provision, just go through the information. So legal fee has been paid to the advocate, Mr. Dhruv Banerjee, and transportation charges have been paid to an unregistered GTA for transportation of raw material from mandi to factory. And we are transporting the raw material. Okay. Now, this is goods transport operator. Transportation charges paid to a local truck owner, not a GTA, for transportation of finished goods from factory to distributors. Now, apart from that, certain additional information is provided to you. First is that the Abhivakti Private Limited procured the service of transportation of goods from Messrs Techno Enterprises, who is a GTA, and it has its place of business in Kolkata, Orissa, and Assam. Now, Techno Enterprises is registered in all these states with same PAN number. Abhivakti Private Limited transported its food products to different customers located within Kolkata through Techno Enterprises in the month of October. Now, this is very important that whenever additional information or whenever any information is given in any question, you have to see that whether that information pertains to the same month for which the question has given all the other information or the month is different. So here they have kept a different month for this particular information. So this question has information for different this question has information for different months. So some information or majority of information is given for September month, but one of the informations is for October. Messrs Techno Enterprises prepared a consignment note containing the details of consigner and consignee, value of consignment, vehicle number, details of party. Now, Techno Enterprises is a GTA. So GTA always gives a consignment note. The information is given to you. Now, we have to see what is the use of this information after going through the MCQs. Out of the total sales, food products worth rupees 3,50,000, which is in weight it is 10,000 kg. They were supplied to Department of School Education, Government of West Bengal. So we have given some food products, supplied some food products to the Government of West Bengal school, and because which had to be further supplied for supplying to affected families during flood in the state. And a price-linked subsidy of rupees 10 per kg was given by the government to Abhivyakti Private Limited. But this subsidy has not been considered in the total sales. That means this total sales amount of 60 lakhs is before considering this subsidy. That has not been deducted. That amount is included in the subsidy amount, in the total sales amount, that is 60 lakhs. Now, it is important. Whenever subsidy is given to you, you have to see whether it is already considered in the price or not. Company has awarded a maintenance contract to Supreme Private Limited, Delhi on 10th June. The contract was awarded for repair of central air conditioner units installed in factory for rupees 60,000 with a completion period of 30 days. So contract was awarded on which date? 10th June, and the completion period was 30 days. That means within 30 days that contract had to be completed. And that contract was actually completed before 30 days period, and that is on 8th July the contract got completed. However, due to some dispute regarding quality of work, invoice was issued by Supreme Private Limited only on 5th of September. That is the month for which the information is given to us. And the payment was released in the same said month on 15th of September. So payment date is 15th September and invoice date is 5th September. So that gives us an idea that some time of supply question can be there. The proper officer levied on the company a penalty of rupees 5,000 for the wrongful utilization of ITC of rupees 5,000. The company had deposited the tax liability for the month of August amounting to rupees 3,30,730 rupees on 28th September. So majority of information, if you see, is it pertains to September month. Only one of the information regarding the Techno Enterprises, which is there for October. So whenever we are computing anything in aggregate for September month, that piece of information is not to be considered. So that we have to expressly segregate. Now, based on the facts of the case scenario given above, as Swati told you, that whatever case scenario you are answering, you have to take into consideration the information which is given in the question, and it has been expressly mentioned here also in the scenario, that based on the information which is given in this question or in this scenario, you have to answer these questions. Now, we'll not be going through all the MCQs at a stretch. We'll be first of all going through MCQ 1, and then we'll see the relevant piece of information and the relevant provision. Then we'll move further. So the first question is the value of taxable outward supply made by Abhivyakti Private Limited in the month of September is, now you have been given 4 options. So you have to see whether, so what we have to actually compute is value of taxable outward supply. So first is we have to see which are the outward supplies of Abhivyakti Private Limited, which is given in the above scenario. Then we have to see whether they are taxable or not. And third thing is what is the value of those taxable supplies. Okay. So in the meantime, I start explaining you the provision. I would request all of you to compute that and then arrive at the answer and come up with the answers of these MCQs. So first is the value of taxable outward supply in this particular scenario. Let us go through the information. In the beginning, general information is given to you and the past year's turnover is given to you. Then we have the outward supplies. So all the outward supplies we'll mention here. So sale of superfoods, food products. Now this is an outward supply and this seems to be, this is a taxable supply. Okay. There is no exemption for any for the supply of the food products, which is as such given to you, and it is a branded food product, because unbranded in some of the unbranded food products are exempt, but exemption pertaining to goods first of all is not there in your syllabus, and second, food products which are branded, they are not at all exempt. So sale of superfoods food product, that is taxable. It is an outward supply and it is taxable. Second comes purchase of raw material. Now it is an inward supply. Rent received from its employees for the residential quarters allotted to them for residence. Now, as I told you, if you remember, in the 14 marks question, which is of net, which requires computation of net GST payable, whenever there is any exempt entry or any reverse charge entry, reversal provisions come to our mind immediately. But here it is the possibility that they might not ask you ITC, so no reversal provisions have to be applied. Now, Raj has answered correctly the treatment for this particular item. I would first of all discuss and I would request others also to answer so that this becomes participative for you and you also get to know the correct answer. Even if you are wrong also, I would request you that whatever comes to your mind, you should write it in the answer chat box. So rent received from its employees for the residential quarters allotted to them for residence. So this Abhivakti Private Limited has provided renting of residential dwelling to the employees, and employees would definitely be unregistered. So the service of providing the residential dwelling to the unregistered person is exempt. Okay, so this is an outward supply, but it is an exempt supply. Then we have electricity charges paid to West Bengal State Electricity Board. Now, this is something with the charges we have paid to State Electricity Board. So this is not an outward supply. This is an inward supply. Security services provided by Messer Suraksha Security. So again, it is an inward supply. So we will not consider it here. Interest on delayed payment collected from the customers. Now, whatever interest we collect from the customers when they make the payment after the due date or after the stipulated time period, whatever time we have allotted to them. So we collect an interest. Generally, it's a business practice that we collect interest from them. So this interest which we have collected on delayed payment of from the customers, that is taxable. Okay, this is an outward supply and this is taxable. Raj is saying alternative in case of employment, no supply. Yeah, Raj, that can also be there. In case it is a part of this residential dwelling have been provided in course of their employment. But in this question, though this information is not provided to you, had this been there that it is a part of their employment contract, because residential quarters can be provided to the employees, it can be a part of their employment contract or not. Since it is not given here, so we have not assumed it that way. Otherwise, it would have been explicitly given to us that they have been provided these residential quarters as part of their employment itself. So in the employment contract itself, it has been mentioned. It's only a facilitation which has been provided to the employees. That is why we have not applied that Schedule 3 provision here, that it is not a supply. It is actually an exempt supply, services provided by way of residential dwelling to an unregistered person. Full interest considered, but no rate is given, so we can't calculate value of supply. Okay, you are saying that it could be a possibility that here the interest has the GST element also. But since nothing has been provided to you here, and so in that case, it is a possibility that interest GST can be there, GST cannot be there. But this piece of information which is given at the end of the question, this note which has been given, all the above amounts are exclusive of GST. Whenever interest collected from the customers is there, in fact, in valuation chapter also you would have seen that we generally consider it to be inclusive of GST unless otherwise specified. This has been mentioned in the chapter itself while discussing the same, that whenever we have been given interest or whenever we collect interest from the customers for making delayed payment, generally we consider it to be inclusive of GST, because as a business practice, when we collect interest from them, they don't pay GST on that, because we are penalizing them on one side. So generally, they will not pay any interest to us, any GST amount for that. But we take it to be inclusive of GST, and making the backward calculation, we compute the GST liability on that. But in this question, it has been expressly mentioned here. So we have to see the information which is given in the question explicitly. Every sentence, every note which is given in the question, that is very important for us. So here it is expressly mentioned that the amounts are exclusive of GST. So here we cannot assume that the GST compute, and in value, we'll take the entire 3,500 amount. Okay. Then interest on fixed deposit in a bank. This is also an outward supply, but this is, since we know that services provided by way of the loan or deposits for which the consideration is received in the form of interest, in the form of discount, that is exempt by notification number 12 by 2017, that is exempt. So this interest on fixed deposit in a bank, whatever fixed deposits, whatever amount we have kept in a bank, whatever interest we are receiving from the banks, or any business is receiving from the banks, that is exempt from GST. So this is an exempt entry. Pradeep has answered it correctly, that interest on FD in bank is exempt. Properly, he has brought out the provision. Raj has also answered it correctly, that interest is exempt. In fact, others also answer, so that by participation, you will actually enjoy the session, and This way you will be able to recall, retain the provision in a better manner. Whatever in fact, when you answer wrongly, you tend to remember it for a longer time, that this is something which I had done wrong and I will not do it in exam. So that way you can retain it in a better manner. Now, license fee paid to uh, Food and Safety Standard Authority of India. It is an inward supply. So we'll see whether exempt or taxable, whatever it is, but it is an inward supply. So of no use to us. Legal fee paid to advocate, again an inward supply. Transportation charges paid to unregistered goods transport operator, again an inward supply because we have paid the charges. In fact, I think sponsorship service, I forgot. Sponsorship service, since it is given payment to Kolkata Chamber of Commerce registered under GST towards sponsorship for Investor Summit at Kolkata. Now, whether this will be an inward supply or outward supply, if you can answer. We have made some payment to Kolkata Chamber of Commerce, which is registered under GST, towards sponsorship we have given sponsorship for investment summit. Some investment summit is being held in, investor summit is being held in Kolkata. We have sponsored that summit. And for that, we have given 25,000 rupees to Kolkata Chamber of Commerce, that this particular summit is sponsored by us. You must have seen any type of events, business events which are organized. They are being given sponsorship by big businesses, big business houses, companies, then Chamber of Commerce also. Sometimes they also sponsor other events. But here a Chamber of Commerce is organizing it, and a business, this our supplier, that is Abhivakti Private Limited, has sponsored it. So Raj and Pradeep have answered correctly that is a service received, because we have made the payment of sponsorship amount. For sponsorship, we have given to Kolkata Chamber of Commerce 25,000 rupees. So we have made the payment. In fact, Vani has also answered now correctly. And I'm happy that all of you are participating. So this is the sponsorship fee which has been given, or sponsorship amount which has been given by the Abhivakti Private Limited to Kolkata Chamber of Commerce. And therefore, this is the sponsorship service. Now, that means it's an inward supply, so we will not take it into consideration right now. Next is the transportation charges paid to a local truck owner, not a GTA. Okay, for transportation of finished goods from factory to distributors. Now, transportation charges, again, they have been paid. So that means it's an inward supply. It's not an outward supply. Note 1 is with regard to October. So we do not have to see it because it has been expressly given to us for the month of September. We have to compute the value of taxable outward supply. Period in question, period in MCQ, I would say, and period in case scenario has to be equated, or it has to be very carefully, meticulously gone through. You have to take into consideration which period the question or the scenario specifies, and which period the question or MCQ is asking. So there can be 2 or 3 periods which are covered in a particular question, and you might be asked the question or MCQ for a particular period. So then you have to exclude the other information which is for the remaining or the other periods. Okay, so here the October month information is given to you. You don't have to see it, whatever is given to you. Out of the total sales, food products worth rupees 3,50,000, that is 10,000 kg, were supplied to Department of School Education. Now, this point when we were doing, when we were reading it earlier also, we had considered that this sale has been made to a government department, school of a government department, that is Government of West Bengal school is there. And this has to be further supplied to affected the families which are affected during flood. So whatever this food is going to be used for is not of our concern. It can be used by School of Education for their own consumption, for anything they could have used it. But only thing is to whom we have supplied it, and a price linked subsidy of 10 rupees. So subsidy is price linked, provided by the government. And so this has to be okay. So yes, we have already started getting the answers. So what is the total subsidy which they have got? 10 rupees per kg subsidy they have got. And the total, food products which they have supplied is 10,000 kg. So 10,000 kg of food products, and subsidy for each kg is rupees 10. So total subsidy comes out to rupees 1 lakh. And Raj has answered it correctly before we giving the answer. He has given the answer. That is 1 lakh. 1 lakh is the price link subsidy which is provided to Abhivakti Private Limited by Government of West Bengal. Okay. Now, since it is the subsidy which is linked to price, which it has been given by the government. So we will deduct it from the price, and it has not yet already been considered in the sales. Since it is not considered in the sales already, so we will be reducing it from the sales amount. Had it been already considered, suppose it had been given to you that this subsidy amount had already been reduced from the price, then we would not have given it any treatment. We would have taken the whatever price was given, sale price was given to you, we would have taken that sale price as the outward supply. But here it is given that it has not yet been considered. So the price became, or the sale value outward supply became 59 lakhs. Pradeep is saying subsidy by other than government, if considered, add to value of supply if government, and considered
Do nothing.
do nothing. Okay. Yeah. So if it has already been considered, then we do not have to do anything. So this is 59 lakhs. So if we see that we have very few outward supplies given here, and since in this table, inward and outward supplies are given at one place, so this is also, this can create confusion sometimes. So it's better you write at on left side you write the inward supplies, or right side outward, whichever way you feel it comfortable, but mark the supplies categorically that these are inward and these are outward supplies, so that you don't create any mistake in that. Now this is one of the taxable supplies is 15 lakhs and another one is 3500 lakhs. So answer comes to 59 lakh 3,500 rupees, because we have only two taxable outward supplies, and the correct answer becomes 59 lakh 3,500. Is it allowed to scribble on paper? Generally, we know, as far as we know, in the examination sheet, what you can do is you can mark the margins. You can have a right margin. So whatever calculation you are doing, you can do on that right margin. Some students prefer to do their calculations at the on a rough sheet at the end of the question, answer sheet. So they use one sheet, they mark one sheet as rough sheet, and they do all the calculations there. But it has always been suggested as a student, it was always suggested to us also, and as a faculty, we also suggest to students that you should do the calculations there itself when where you are writing the answers. Because when you are cross-checking the question at the end, answer at the end, whatever calculation you have done at the right end of the, or right side of your question answer sheet, it becomes easy for you to cross-check also any mistake. Suppose you have taken the wrong value and you have computed on the same. So it becomes more apparent. On one sheet where you have scribbled everything, you will not be able to locate for which answer that, rough calculation pertains to you. So it is always suggested to do it on the right margin, and just along with the answer where you have answered the space where you have answered that question. So, so in big questions, we always suggest, I think Pradeep also wanted to ask the same thing, that we can scribble on the question paper. Suppose, sorry, I read it wrong. I thought that you want to have a rough sheet. On question paper, you can, this much information, I think you can mark on the question paper.
Basically, I will advise that you can clarify it from the examination department.
Because this is something very specific, so you can get it
Just,
clarified from the
double check from the examination department. Or if anything is written on the admit card, on the back of the admit card, and
You can read the
instructions are
instructions
there.
of the admit card.
Yes.
Maybe something is given to us on that. Their information is given to us. I'm not aware. Yeah. But that is a problem, that in big questions, you have so many entries. In fact, in GST particularly, you have so many outward and inward supplies, and you have to write the treatment or whatever specific point you want to mark there. That problem can be there. And second question is value of taxable supply received by Abhivyakti Private Limited in the month of September. Again, period is September, on which GST is payable under reverse charge. Now, we have to compute the value of taxable supply which is received by the Abhivyakti Private Limited in the month of September, on which GST is payable under reverse charge. So only those inward supplies we have to take. Okay, RCM supplies. And here we know the RCM supplies can be for the goods also, because now goods are also applicable for our exams. Now Dilip is asking here, interest on delayed payment is to be considered as exclusive of GST on 3,500 because of note. Very good, Dilip. You had already noticed that point, that it is exclusive of GST because it is given in the note.
Yeah.
In fact, when Swati was explaining you the points which you have to keep in mind for the examination, she explicitly told you that sometimes this information might not be there in the question. Then you have to take either of the assumptions and you have to answer the question. Sometimes students get stuck there and they feel that which way we have to answer. So this can also be a problem. Now, when we see this, that we have to answer we have to compute the inward supplies on which RCM is applicable. Then again, we have to go back to the question, and already outward supplies we have segregated. So we just have to see the inward supplies and which of them are taxable under reverse charge. First of all, they are taxable and they are taxable under reverse charge. Purchase of raw material from the market. Now, it is an inward supplies, it is a taxable inward supply, but no reverse charge is there. Rent received from inward supplies. Oh, sorry, it is an outward supply. Electricity charges paid to West Bengal State Electricity Board. Now, electricity charges are exempt. Electricity is not within the purview of GST. Whatever electricity charges we are paying to in any state electricity board, that is exempt from GST. So it is an inward supply, but still exempt, and no reverse charge. Obviously, there is no reverse charge which is applicable here. Security services provided by Suraksha Security Partnership Firm, which is provided to Abhivyakti Private Limited. Now, here the security services are provided by a non-body corporate. Okay. Abhivyakti Private Limited is a partnership firm, and it has provided these services to a registered person. Abhivyakti Private Limited is a registered person. Yes, so we have started getting the correct answers here from Raj and Dilip. Not a body corporate. To here, body corporate is not important. We are who is supplying. The person who is supplying the services should not be a body corporate. It should be an other than body corporate. But to whom, the person to whom it is supplying, that means recipient, can be a body corporate or a non-body corporate. That is not important. It should be a registered person. So even if it is being given to a partnership firm which is registered, to an individual who is registered, then the reverse charge provisions will apply. So in case of security services, you have to remember it very specifically that the services should be supplied to a registered person. They should be provided by a non-body corporate. So these two conditions are being satisfied here, and this 1 lakh become taxable under reverse charge mechanism. Okay, it is being provided to Abhivyakti Private Limited, a registered person, and it is being provided by a non-body corporate, that is partnership firm. Pradeep has marked it correctly that by the other than body corporate, but this is only about suppliers. So recipient should be a registered person. Then we come to the sponsorship service. Now, sponsorship service is provided by a registered person to a body corporate. So any sponsorship service which is being provided to a body corporate or a partnership firm by any person. Now, here the supplier is not any specified person, but recipient is body corporate or partnership firm. Then in that case, the RCM provisions will apply. So in this case, the RCM provisions will apply. So payment to Kolkata Chamber of Commerce for sponsorship of rupees 25,000 is taxable under reverse charge mechanism. Okay. Now we come to the next one. License fee paid to FSSAI is now not exempt. It is taxable. It is an inward supply, but it is not taxable under reverse charge mechanism. We do not have any specific entry which says that license fee or license granted by FSSAI are taxable under reverse charge. No such entry is there. Next is legal fee paid to advocate Mr. Dhruv Banerjee. Again, Raj has answered it correctly. So I would request others also to see the provision and answer us. Legal fee paid to advocate Mr. Dhruv Banerjee. Now, legal services provided by an individual advocate to a business entity. If it is not a business entity, then it is exempt. But since Abhivyakti Private Limited is a business entity, and the last year's turnover is more than the threshold limit for registration. In fact, it is way more than the threshold limit for registration, which would have been 20 lakhs in his case. But since his turnover in the previous year was more than the threshold limit for registration,
so exemption will not apply.
Yes. And since exemption will not apply, so this particular service, legal fee paid to advocate, will become taxable under reverse charge mechanism. Okay. Now, next is the transportation charges paid to an unregistered goods transport operator for transportation of raw material from mandi to factory. Now, here the transportation charges are being paid to unregistered goods transport operator. It's not a goods transport agency. So, he is maybe a rickshaw puller, a local truck. So, he has not been registered as a GTA. Transportation of the services of transportation of goods by road, other than GTA, are exempt from GST. So since the services of transportation of goods are provided by not are not being provided by GTA, not non-GTA it is being provided. Goods transport operator is providing. So these services will become exempt. They will be attracted by exemption by notification number 12 by 2017. So they will be exempt and no reverse charge can be applicable. In fact, Vani has correctly pointed out that the RCM is applicable here. And Pradeep is saying if a business entity and last year's turnover exceeds threshold limit for registration, then this will be, this is the reason why RCM is being applicable. Exempt local truck owner, not a GTA. Very well pointed out, Raj. Transportation charges paid to a local truck owner, not a GTA for transportation of finished goods. Now here also same provision will apply that since it's a local truck owner, it's not a GTA. So then it is exempt and RCM will not be attracted. So we, in fact, after that, first point is with regard to October. So we'll not see it. Second is an outward supply. Third is a general service which we have received. But since this, in fact, if we see this is a service which we have received. We have awarded a maintenance contract to Supreme Private Limited. But the time of supply, we'll see the time. We have a separate question for time of supply just to have a quick note of it because we have to see whether it is there taxable under in September or not. So it will not be taxable under September and RCM will not be applicable here. So third note also we are leaving for our computation. Fourth and fifth point, they pertain to the penalty and tax liability. So they are also not relevant for us. For this particular point, we have only 3 receipts, which are 1 lakh rupees plus 25,000, 1,25,000 and 30,000. So this is 1 lakh plus 30,000 and plus 25,000. 1,55,000. Let us see which correct answer we have got. Other than GTA exempt, GTA on RCM. Yes. If GTA had been there, then RCM and forward charge both can be there. It depends on which option GTA has taken. If GTA has itself opted to pay GST, it would be mentioned in the question and then 12% rate would be charged and RCM will not be there. So this is the correct answer, 1,55,000. Now, third question is, what is the time limit? What is the time of supply of services provided by Supreme Private Limited? It's a time of supply question and very simple question. You can, I think all of you can answer this question. Company has awarded a maintenance contract to Supreme Private Limited. Contract was awarded on 10th June and it was completed on 8th of July. So what is important is that the date of completion of service is 8th July. Date of invoice is 5th September and date of payment is 15th September. Now, invoice has been raised after 30 days of completion of service. So what will be the time of supply? Yes, Raj has correctly answered. The time of supply will be, since invoice has been issued after 30 days, so it will be date of completion of service or date of payment, whichever is earlier. And that will be 8th of July. So this will be time of supply. Now, what is the time of supply, which is option which is given to us? So this is option D is the correct option. We have got correct answers for this. So provision, I think you have understood the provision, so we can determine that yes, 8th July is the correct answer. Now, next point is, Pradeep is saying in service if invoice within due date, then date of payment or
Date of issue of invoice,
yeah,
right?
in case the invoice had been issued within 30 days of provision of service, that is from 8th July, if within 30 days invoice had been issued, then it would have been the date of invoice or date of payment, whichever is earlier, then provision would have changed. Next is the amount of interest payable by Abhivyakti Private Limited under Section 50 of CGST Act for delayed payment of tax for the month of August. Now for this, we have to see note 5. Note 5 says that the August liability, the company has deposited, the due date for depositing the liability for the month of August was 20th September, 20th of the next month. However, the actual date of payment is 28th September. So there is a default of 8 working days because we'll be excluding, how we'll be computing this? We'll exclude the date of cause of action, that is 20th September to 28th September. For computing how many days default is there, we have to exclude 20th. From 21st, we'll be counting the days. 21, 20, from 21 to 28, there are 8 days for which the default has been there. Yes, Raj, you have computed it correctly. So, rate of interest will be Under section 50, the rate of interest is 18% per annum. Default is for 8 days and the amount is 3,30,730. So the interest will be 3,30,730 into 18% into 8, and we will take a year of 365 days because it is not mentioned which particular year we are referring to. Had it been 2024-23, then we would have considered the concept of leap year. But since year is not mentioned here, so we will be computing it this way. So we have got the correct answer. After computing this, the answer would be 3,50,000. This will be 1,305 rupees. Okay. So I think you understood this concept. Pradeep has also answered the rate of interest as correct. That is 18%. Now, fifth question. Fifth question says, so you can see that each and every point is being used, but for a specific question, you have to see that information. Now, in the context of imposition of penalty on Abhivyakti Private Limited by the proper officer of rupees 5,000, which of these statements is correct? Let us first of all go through that point once again, which is given to you. So as I told you, see the relevant information and then recall the relevant provision. This relevant information is the point 4, which is given here. The proper officer levied on the company a penalty of rupees 5,000 for wrongful utilization of ITC of rupees 5,000. Okay. So the amount of tax involved or the amount of default which is there in this question is 5,000 rupees. Okay. Now the provision which we have to recall, because the question asked is, what is the, which of these following statement is correct? And these statements refer to the minor breach. Now minor breach is wrongful utilization. Okay. Wrongful utilization, not minor breach. Okay. No, that is not there. So we are saying that which of the following statements is correct. So I would request Pradeep to once again go through his answer. In the context of imposition of penalty on Abhivyakti Private Limited by the proper officer of 5,000, a proper officer has imposed a penalty of rupees 5,000 on Abhivyakti Private Limited. Now, which of the following statements is correct in this regard? First is penalty is leviable since the offense is not a minor breach. Second, penalty is not leviable since the offense is a minor breach. Now, the statement says that since amount involved is rupees 5,000, it is a minor breach. And you know that the minor breach, the penalty is not imposable. In case the breach or offense committed by the supplier or by the taxpayer is a minor breach, then the penalty is not leviable. So since it is a minor breach, 5,000 amount involved is 5,000, so penalty is not leviable. So, third is penalty is leviable even though the offense is a minor breach. Now the provision, this is what the option given to you, that even if it is a minor breach, penalty is leviable. So you have to tell which is the correct point. No penalty is leviable for such offense. Only interest is payable by adding ITC amount wrongfully utilized to the output tax liability. This point, don't get confused with this point that ITC is interest is payable only when ITC is utilized and not when ITC is only availed. That is a separate point which is there in section 50. Here we are talking about penalty. And in this case, the question provides that the amount of the ITC which has been wrongly utilized. The ITC has been wrongly utilized. Okay. And we are not talking about the we're not talking about interest. So interest is applicable only when wrongful utilization is there and not merely availment of ITC. Here we are saying he has wrongly utilized, and in that case also interest would have definitely been payable in this case, but we are on the question of penalty. So interest would have been payable, penalty would be payable or not. So the reason which is mentioned here is that since ITC, only interest is payable because ITC has been wrongly utilized, that is not a correct reason in fact. So out of these 4 options, which is the correct answer? So you see here, we have got 2 different answers in our chat box also. One is saying option A and another person is saying option B. Let us see both the options. So let us see first of all, what is a minor breach? And is penalty not leviable in case of a minor breach? So answer is yes, that in case an offense is a minor breach, then penalty is not leviable. But when do we term offense as a minor breach? When the amount is 5,000 or more, when amount is more than 5,000. Oh, sorry, amount is less than 5,000. So when amount is less than 5,000, that means If the amount is 5,000 or more, penalty is leviable. It is not a minor breach. Amount is 5,000 or more. This is something which you have to do very carefully, or you have to see this point very carefully, that if the amount is 5,000, then also it is not a minor breach. If amount is less than 5,000, then it is a minor breach. So in our case, the amount is exactly 5,000. Sometimes we get confused in these type of limits where it is more than, less than limits are there. But you have to somewhere jot down them at on one piece of paper so that you can very specifically consider them, that whether it is given less than 5. So in this case, what is there is less than 5,000 is a minor breach. 5,000 or more, if amount involved is there, then it will not be a minor breach. So correct answer will be answer A, that penalty is leviable because the offense is not a minor breach. Amount involved in this offense is 5,000 rupees. It is not less than 5,000. Had it been less than 5,000, then it would have been a minor breach. Okay. So in case of a minor breach, penalty is leviable. So option C is also not correct. And D is totally wrong. B is wrong because it is not a minor breach. B says it is a minor breach. So we have only correct option left with us is option A. Let's see the last MCQ, which is a very self-explanatory MCQ. Messrs. Techno Enterprises wishes to obtain a unique common enrollment number, referred here in a CEN. We have for in short we have said unique common enrollment number for generating the e-way bills. Now this is the Techno Enterprises. Now comes on note 1 into picture. So we have to see the relevant information now, that Abhivyakti Private Limited has taken these transportation of goods services from Techno Enterprises, which is a GTA. It has its place of business in 3 places in multiple states in India. It has common PAN number for all these states. And then it has transported its goods to different states, the goods of Abhivyakti Private Limited to different states. Now it prepared one consignment note containing all the details. The question which is asked is that it has obtained a common unique enrollment number. After that, which of the following statements is true? First of all, let us understand what is the concept of unique enrollment, common enrollment number. A transporter who has his operations or who is registered. Now, in this case, he is registered in all these states. In 3 states, he is registered. Techno Enterprises. So, a transporter who is registered in more than 1 state or in multiple states, he has a common PAN number. So if he is registered, he has a common PAN number. Now he has an option that he can apply for a unique common enrollment number. And from that common enrollment number, he can generate his e-way bills and he can use that. But after that, he cannot use his GSTN for generating the e-way bills. If he has obtained a common enrollment number, this is a kind of facilitation which is provided to the transporters. So then he cannot use the his GSTNs he cannot use. Now, in light of that information, okay, Pradeep is saying it is tricky one. Yes, it is tricky because statements are so close to each other. He's talking about question 5. Question 5, these statements were so close to each other that students generally get confused and they tend to mark the wrong answer. But now we were on question 6. So I will be reading these statements to you and you have to tell which is the correct statement. I have told the provision to you. A person who has a transporter who has registered in multiple states, who has a common PAN number, he can obtain a common enrollment number, unique common enrollment number through which he can generate e-way bills, but he cannot use his GSTN for generating e-way bills after he has obtained a unique common enrollment number. Which of these 4 statements is the correct statement? Techno Enterprises is not eligible for obtaining a common enrollment number as a transporter. Registered only in a single state is eligible for the same. No, it is not a correct answer. Multiple states transporter is only eligible. Techno Enterprises is eligible for obtaining CEN as a transporter registered in multiple states with same PAN is eligible. This is correct. After obtaining CEN, it can use either CEN or GSTN for generating e-way bills. Now this part is wrong. So again, this option becomes wrong because we have to find out the fully correct statement. Techno Enterprises is not eligible for obtaining CEN as only unregistered transporters are eligible. That is also not correct. Though generally students who don't have any information regarding the provision, they mark this as the correct answer, but this is also not correct. So obviously last point will be correct, but let's see what it says. Messrs. Techno Enterprises is eligible for obtaining CEN as it is registered in multiple states with same PAN. After obtaining CEN, it can use it for generating e-way bills and updating Part B throughout the country. This is what I told you the provision is for. So this is the correct answer. D is the correct answer. So you can see it's a small provision of e-way bill and I think it's covered in accounts and records or e-way bill chapter. So it is so important that a question has been asked on it and you should be aware of this. So with this, we come to an end of the case scenario 1. It is in accounts and record and leavable chapter. Raj, you can refer this provision. It is section 50, rule 58, sub rule 1A. Actually, it's a less discussed rule, but question can be asked on a less discussed rule also. So you have to be thorough with all the provisions. With this, we come to an end of case scenario 1. Now, second case scenario, Swati will take you through and tell you how to arrive at the correct answers. So I request all of you to participate. So when you participate, you tend to appreciate the provisions in a better manner.
Yeah, as we move to the case scenario 2, it will be easy for you people because a few adjustments have already been discussed in length in the case scenario 1, that is sponsorship service, legal service. So it will be very easy for you to arrive at the correct answer. And I hope that case scenario 2 will seem easier for you as you have already understood the adjustments which are covered in the case scenario 1.
Though different points have been tested, but at least you know those provisions because we have discussed the entire provision in scenario 1.
So let's read the first of all the case scenario 2. Bhakti and Sons, as ma'am have already discussed with you in length how to read the case scenario, so I will be a bit faster because I would like to cover the answers of all the case, all the questions covered in the case scenario 2. So while reading the case scenario, I will be a bit faster. So I hope that you would have already solved this question. So you will also go through with me. Case scenario 2, Bhakti and Sons of Kolkata. It is a partnership firm. I am just highlighting the key points which are covered in the case scenario 2. So this is the way you should proceed while reading the case scenario. Whatever points seem significant to you, whatever points you feel that there might be any, implications, so these points must have been given, because relating to this, any adjustments gets triggered or any reverse charge entries there, you just keep on highlighting it. I am highlighting it a partnership firm because in case of reverse charge, few reverse charge entries are not applicable if it is provided to any partnership firm. So Bhakti and Sons of Kolkata, a partnership firm registered under GST, deals in supply of electronic goods such as TV, refrigerator, washing machine, etc. It also provides service of repair and maintenance of said goods. Its aggregate turnover during the financial year was rupees 4.2 crore. It furnishes following information for the month of December. Outward supplies during the month of December are given to you. As compared to case scenario 1, this is the different manner of presentation here, that here the outward supplies and the inward supplies are already given to you in a segregated manner. In case scenario 1, it was given in a combined manner. You yourself have to identify very precisely whether it is an outward supply or the supply is the inward supply. Here it is very clearly given to you.
This has become easy for you now.
So first table provides you the details of outward supplies during the month of December. Supply of goods to unregistered persons residing in and around Kolkata. So let's see this. In this, Bhakti and Sons is also belongs to Kolkata, and supply of goods to unregistered persons, right? Amount is given to you in lakhs, right? Then supply of goods to unregistered person of Bihar. So basically both the supplies are to unregistered person. One is Kolkata and another is to Bihar. Then supply of goods to registered dealer in West Bengal. Then repair and maintenance services provided to unregistered persons. These are the outward supplies. Then we come into the inward supplies. So whatever amount is given to, we need not, pay special attention to it, because when reading the question, we will see how it is, how the amount are utilized. Inward supplies during the month of December are as under: purchase of TV sets from registered dealers, interstate supply, whether the nature of the supply is already given to you, whether it is an interstate supply or an intrastate supply. As we know that this Bhakti and Sons deals in TV, refrigerator, washing machine, and lot of electronic goods. So in case of inward supplies, TV sets has been purchased by Bhakti and Sons from registered dealer. Interstate supply is already given to you. During unloading of said TV sets, one LED TV costing rupees 25,000 was damaged. but the dealer refused to replace the same. So this is an additional information in respect of this entry itself, and this additional information is given, at the same place where this adjustment is given. Although in some of the case scenarios or in the examination, it might happen that any particular adjustments, but given relating to any item which is given in the table, that might also appear in the, notes which is given there under in the
Yeah, as there
given
was
below the
in
table.
scenario one. Scenario one, we had this type of
Yeah.
adjustments only.
Second is purchase of refrigerators from registered dealers. Inter or intra is already mentioned, intra-state. Purchase of washing machine from unregistered dealers, intra-state. Transportation charges paid to Om Logistics. Here it is unregistered GTA. In first case scenario, we noted that it was not GTA basically. The services which were availed, that were not from goods transport agency. There was some local goods transport operator. It was goods transport operator, not agency, right? Then payment made to Star Security Services Private Limited, but it is not registered under GST for providing security services. See, when we see the security services, as soon as we read the security services, the point that, there is some reverse charge entry in relation to this service should trigger in your mind, right? So loading and unloading charges paid to labor, labor are always the unregistered one. So it might happen. So I think this is the reason that it has not been specifically given to confuse you that it is an unregistered person. Shop rent paid to Kolkata Municipal Corporation. Now, please note that whenever renting is given to you, you just have to be very specific whether the renting is in relation to a residential dwelling or it is in relation to a commercial property. Because if you are able to differentiate between the two, then only you will be clear whether any reverse charge entry or the exemption entry in relation to the renting will apply or not. So here it is shop rent. That means it is not in relation to the residential property. Then fee paid to Mr. Das, a senior advocate of Kolkata High Court, for legal service. Legal service, another we can think that reverse charge entry will get applied. Following additional information is also provided. Additional. Assistant Commissioner of Commercial Tax Kolkata has issued a show cause notice to Bhakti and Sons due to non-display of registration certificate in a prominent location and GSCI on name board at the entry of his principal place of business. See, the way I am, reading the case scenario, basically during the 15 minutes, if you're reading the MCQ, if you're reading, whenever you are just giving the first, reading it for the first time, the case scenario, you also need to give a quick glance. You need to also give a quick reading to the case scenario, because when we move to the questions, then again you have to revisit to the facts of the case scenario to particularly locate the points which are which are applicable while answering to that question. So, at a prominent GSCN name board at entry at principal place of business, Bhakti and Sons place that the display of GSCN to general public is not mandatory, as it is required for knowledge of customers, and same is already mentioned in the tax invoice. So this point relates to non-display of registration certificate. It is not in relation to any of the adjustment or any of the item which is given to you above this in the tables, in both the tables. This is basically an additional information. It will not impact anything which is given to you in the above two tables, right? Then coming to the another adjustment, number B, Bhakti and Sons paid the sponsorship fee. Sponsorship fee, we understand that there is a reverse charge, some reverse charge entry is there in case of sponsorship fees. Now, whether reverse charge will apply or not in case of sponsorship, where in fact it's not only in case of sponsorship. To know the applicability of reverse charge provisions in a particular activity, it is important for you to know, basically to locate basically who is the supplier and who is the recipient of the service. Supplier of service and the recipient of service are the two basically very important persons to know while determining whether the reverse charge will apply or not. Like basically only the name of the activity will not decide itself that the reverse charge will apply or not. It depends whether the supplier or the recipient is the specified one, so that to apply the reverse charge provisions in the given case. So Bhakti and Sons paid the sponsorship fees to 5 lakh to Finmin Limited, registered in Kolkata, for an entertainment event organized by Finmin Limited in Assam. See, as we know that Bhakti and Sons belongs to Kolkata, and Finmin is also registered in Kolkata, but the event is taking place in Assam in the month of October. Now, GSC rate on all inward and outward supplies is 18%, 9%, CGSC, SGSC, and IGSC is 18%, except transportation of goods service, which attracts GSC at 5%, GSC, CGSC, SGSC 2.5, 2.5, and IGSC at the rate of 5%. No opening ITC available for the relevant tax periods. All the goods purchased by its X shop, it arranges its own transportation through GTA. All the above amounts are exclusive of taxes. So I hope that we have highlighted all the key points given in the case scenarios, and we have very quickly go through the facts of the case scenario. Now we will move to the question given below the case scenario, and then revisit to the facts of the case scenario wherever we feel that what may be relevant for answering that particular case. See, as we have already gone through like adjustment number A, that seems not to be related with any of the adjustments given in below the above the table, so we need not read it again and again while answering any of the questions.
You can mark it in
Yes,
your.
we will read it only when we will see the any related information or any relevant facts or the determine are asked in the particular
It seems to
section.
be an independent kind of information which is not related to any of the receipts or outward supplies which is given in the tables.
So moving to the question number 7, which of the following statements is true in respect of the sponsorship fee paid by Bhakti and Sons to Finman Limited? In case of sponsorship fee service, basically, generally the point of doubt is we are not able to identify who is the supplier and who is the recipient, because it is given in such a, because sponsorship fee is basically paid for a particular event. So we generally get confused that this who is that the supplier is the person who is organizing that event. But it is, the very easy, the formula to determine who is supplier and the recipient is that one who pays the fee. One who is paying the fees basically is the receiver of the service, because only if I am receiving any service, then only I will pay anything to you. Supplier will not pay anything himself for his service, right? So in this case, who is paying the fees? Bhakti and Sons paid the sponsorship fee. So first of all, we will check that Bhakti and Sons is the recipient of to Finman Limited. He is the supplier, and he is registered person in Kolkata for an entertainment event. Now, what does the entry pertaining to the sponsorship service in case of reverse charge notification number 13/17 says? Sponsorship services provided by way of sponsorship by any person. It may be provided by any person. So we are not concerned that whether supplier is a body corporate, partnership, registered, unregistered. Supplier may be any person in case of sponsorship service. But if it is provided to any body corporate or partnership firm located in the taxable treasury, that is taxable under reverse charge. So for sponsorship service, supplier is any person, and recipient, if it is body corporate or partnership, then only reverse charge will apply. In the given case, we will again see whether Bhakti and Sons is any of the two, whether Bhakti and Sons is body corporate or partnership, then only reverse charge will apply, else we will ignore it. So we will again revisit. And because I will advise you, don't, during examination, don't believe on, what if you have read before it. Like when you are giving it a quick glance, just don't get overconfidence that when I was reading it, Bhakti and Sons, it was a partnership or it is a body corporate. It is, I will advise you to just, revisit to the facts of the case and to the relevant information. And then, then you can just mark it in your the notes which you are given, your the separate notes if you are giving in your answer sheet, like where you're writing that yes, Bhakti and Sons in this case is a partnership firm. So here it is a partnership firm, so reverse charge will apply in this case.
In fact, you have got correct answers from Raj and Pradeep. They have also reiterated. So that means they have correctly understood what you explained and they have also marked the answers correctly.
Yeah, and Pradeep has said it must be in tax territory. Yes, Pradeep, it is right, but generally in the examination we get the entries where there is a catch in generally between the supplier and the recipient. So I am focusing more on the areas
It is
where there is
implicit
a
that
doubt.
it is in
Yes.
taxable territory, but yes, that point is also important
Yes.
that it should be
It
in
can't, it
taxable
can't be
territory.
neglected.
Only thing, Pradeep, I would like to add here is you have mentioned body corporate includes LLP. To the extent you want to say that LLP is also covered here, that is true, but LLP is covered in partnership firm. Though they both, even if it is an LLP, sponsorship provisions will apply, RCM under sponsorship will apply. LLP is covered in partnership firm.
Yeah, and in this case, if you see that basically when you see the options, it is, testing not only the taxability and the reverse charge or forward charge, it is also checking determination of nature of supply. Because the options is Bhakti and Sons is liable to pay, Finman is liable to pay, IGSC or CGSC and SGSC.
Yes.
So along with determination of reverse charge, we also need to determine the nature of supply in the given case. And yes, we have already got the right answer from Mr. Raj that Bhakti and Sons, since sponsorship service is not falling in any of the specified services, and this supply of services has been made to a registered person, right? So the registered person, then the place of supply is the location of such person. So place of supply in this case is Kolkata only. And since the place of supply is Kolkata, so CGSC and SGSC place of supply is Kolkata. So CGSC and SGSC will apply. And yes, reverse charge was applicable here because Bhakti and Sons is a partnership firm. So Bhakti and Sons is liable to pay CGSC and SGSC of 45,000 each. Correct answer is C.
In fact, some students could have got confused, though answer in this question remains same. Seeing the entertainment event, they might try to put it in the entertainment clause of section 12, that wherever the entertainment event has taken place. Though in case of the entertain services provided by way of organizing the entertainment events, we know that in case you are providing it to a registered person, then it is location of registered person only. Only in case of unregistered person, it is the place where entertainment event has actually taken place or it has actually been held. But here the answer will remain the same. But had it been a different case, then answer could have been different. But some students will take it to that way. So blissfully, it is not a descriptive answer. Had it been a descriptive answer, then though you would have marked the correct option that yes, it is this is the place of supply is Kolkata, but you would have marked a wrong reason that you have taken it not in the default route, but in a specific service by way of organization of events.
Then moving to the question number 8, assuming that Bhakti and Sons has an SEJ unit also located in UP, apart from the regular DTA unit located in Kolkata, both having same PAN. Assume additional turnover of its SEJ unit is rupees 2 crore in the preceding financial year. Which of the following statements is correct in respect of e-invoicing requirements?
This is also a very good question. So let's see
Yeah.
how many of you can answer this question.
So option A, e-invoicing not applicable to both SEJ and DTA. It is applicable to both, or it is applicable to either of the two. And one of them is exempt from GST. Now see, in this question, although to a larger extent, basically it does not relate to the facts or that of the which are given in the table. But yes, even then, few things are related to the facts given in the case scenario are used in this are used for answering this question as well. In this question, Bhakti and Sons has an SEJ also located in UP. So for answering these questions, you need to have the complete understanding of the provisions relating to e-invoicing.
This is an additional information which is given here that it is,
Yes.
if you assume that it is an SEZ unit and it has an additional turnover of 2 crores. So you have to go through the entire scenario where the other turnover is given. So I think
Yes.
you will
So
be arriving at the correct answer.
e-invoicing is applicable to DTA unit and SEJ unit is exempt from e-invoicing. See, SEJ unit, it is exempt from invoicing.
And in fact, you should know the turnover also. First thing, see the turnover.
Yeah.
That what is the threshold limit for turnover. I think all of you would be knowing. I think they would be knowing the turnover. That is very basic. But
and the applicability is based on the, yes, it is based on the turnover and it is based on the aggregate annual turnover of the same pen. So if if a person has got 2 units located, the turnover will be, aggregated, it will be consolidated, it will be merged to know the applicability of invoicing. Here it is given that additional turnover of SEJ is 2 crore. Now we need to see the turnover of the Bhakti and Sons. And the turnover of Bhakti and Sons is given here. The aggregate turnover during the preceding financial year was rupees 4.2 crore. So DTA, it is 4.2 crore, and in total aggregate 6.2 crore. See, this is very important that you have to check the aggregate turnover of the person having the same pen, right? Since as you know, the threshold limit for e-invoicing has been reduced to 5 crore. So basically e-invoicing will be applicable to DTA unit, and SEJ unit is exempt from e-invoicing. The correct answer is D. And supply of e-invoicing apply SEJ means.
Pradeep, actually, you are saying supply of export e-invoice supply, SEZ means export. Actually, SEZ unit has been specifically exempted from the e-invoicing provisions. So, though any supply which we make from DTA to SEZ, that is considered as an export because we considered SEZ to be a unit which is, or to a place outside India, an isolated island kind of a thing we treated. But here, since the notification specifically exempts it from the EU invoicing provision, so even if the unit has an aggregate turnover of more than 5 crores, SEZ unit will not be bound to issue invoices, or e-invoicing will not be applicable to the SEZ unit. A developer would be there. Developer it is applicable. That is what Raj has correctly pointed out. But here it is for SEZ unit it is specifically exempt.
Yes.
And I think others. Yeah, it is a specific exemption.
Yeah, it is
So now
applicable
you
to
got the
SEJ
point.
developer. Although e-invoicing is applicable to SEJ developer, it is not exempt for SEJ developer. But yes, e-invoicing is exempt for SEJ basically.
And another thing to note is that you have to see previous year turnover. So in case had it been given the current year's turnover, these turnovers had it been for the current year, and some turnover for the previous years would have been given, then you have to see the previous year's turnover. So since the inception of GST law, that is from financial year 2017-18, we have to see the turnover of the company. And if it in any of these years had it been once exceeded 5 crores, then the e-invoicing provisions will apply. So here, since no turnover for any other year has been given to you, so we will use the information what is given to us. But the complete provision is that you have to see the previous
any
year.
of the preceding financial year. Raj is correct. We need to see turnover since inception of GSC, because the legal language is if the threshold limit in the turnover, the threshold limit is increases in any of the preceding financial year, then e-invoicing is applicable for you. Then coming to the question number 9, the total value of inward supplies on which GST is payable by Bhakti and Sons under reverse charge for December is, see, the question categorically asks us the total value of inward supplies. So we need not check the value of outward supplies as of now. And another thing to note in this case is that the question asks the total value of inward supply. So we need not determine the GSC to answer this question. We just have to consider the consider the inward supplies on which GST is payable by Bhakti and Sons under reverse charge, and we have to just tell add the total inward supplies where GST is payable under reverse charge, because total value is asked, not the GST amount is asked from us. So coming to the table of inward supplies, table number 2, purchase of TV sets from registered dealer, interstate supply during unloading of TV sets. One LED toasting was damaged, but the dealer refused to replace the same. See, as Shefali ma'am has discussed you in the case scenario 1, I will also write just adjacent to the table whether the reverse charge provisions will get attracted in that particular item and or not, right? So this is the simple. In this case, there is no reverse charge. Purchase of refrigerators from registered dealers, interstate supply, no reverse charge. Purchase of washing machine, no reverse charge. Transportation charges paid to home logistics unregistered GTA. So in case of transportation charges, so unregistered GTA has provided service of home logistics has provided the service of GTA goods transportation agency to the Bhakti and Sons. So reverse charge will apply in this case. Right, then payment made to Star Security Services Private Limited, not registered under GST, for providing security services. Now, in case of security services, it has been explained in entry 14 of notification number 13/17. It says that security services provided by any person, but other than a body corporate, by way of supply of security services to a registered person is taxable under RCM. So it should be provided by any person other than a body corporate, but you may note here is that who is making payment? Bhakti Insurance is making payment. And who is the provider of service? Star Security Services Provider Private Limited is the supplier of services. And to attract the applicability of reverse charge, the supplier of service should be any person other than a body corporate. Here, Star Security Services Private Limited is a body corporate. So, RCM will not apply in this case. Then loading and unloading charges paid to laborer. There is no as such specific entry for reverse charge. Shop rent paid to Kolkata Municipal Corporation. Now, whenever you feel renting, whenever you see renting, you should see whether it is renting of residential dwelling to attract the exemption entry. And in case of renting, there are two entries in for reverse charge also. Renting to a registered person, and there is one entry for renting in case of specified person. So services, since it is paid to Kolkata Municipal Corporation, entry 5A gets triggered. Services provided by central government, state government, UT or local authority by way of renting of immovable property to a person registered under CGST Act. It is taxable under reverse charge. The point to note here is that renting of immovable property is given in the entry. Immovable property, it is not mentioned whether it is residential or the commercial one. So in case of shop rent, the reverse charge provisions will apply. Fee paid to Mr. Das, a senior advocate of Kolkata High Court for legal. In case of legal service, entry number 2 of notification number 13 by 17 ICAI 28/6/17, it says that services provided by an individual advocate, including a senior advocate or a firm of advocates by way of legal services directly or indirectly to any business entity located in the taxation territory. So here the service has been provided to a business entity because Kolkata Bhakti and Sons is a business entity. It is doing a commercial business in the course of furtherance of it is doing the activities in the course of furtherance of business. So it is a business. Basically, it is a business entity. So reverse charge will apply.
And past year's turnover is also more than
the threshold limit
for registration. Same applies for the Kolkata Municipal Corporation also.
Yes, yes.
That it is not eligible for, it's not less than 20 lakhs.
Yes. So as we know that in this case only the value of supply was asked. This was this point value of supply, it requires special consideration because generally students when they see the something is asked, they need to just tend to calculate the amount of GST because GST rates are given. They feel then what is the use of the GST rate? They are given 9%, 8%.
We have
What
not
is
given
the use?
GST rates here. That is why.
No, we have given.
Given
We
here.
have
Oh.
given the rate.
Here it is given.
Yes.
So to confuse
So generally we see that these rates are given, so we have to calculate. But no, see, don't panic. By looking at the case scenarios, whether it is given the integrated case scenario, MCQ portion, or the compulsory question. See, you can see that at one point of time, not all the information is used. See, all the information in parts is used for answering a particular question. So sometimes we just tend to fear. We just tend to, this seems to, horrify us. It's a so big question. So much information is given. We don't know the treatment. But as you have seen in case scenario 1 also, the only very, very specific information is used for answering the particular case scenario. And rest of the case scenario is just for, just to check you whether you know the applicability
you
of
need
the
to proceed
provisions.
sequentially.
Yeah.
Then you will know that means every piece of information is not required for every question.
Right.
Some information is required for question 1, other is required for question 2. So that means you don't have to get panicked seeing such a big scenario. This is only because it has integration of so many provisions of GST law. But when you are answering a particular question, you need only specific piece of information. So try to attempt it coolly. You'll be able to arrive at the correct answer. See the relevant information.
Yeah. So the value of inward supplies was asked. So 2,30,000 and 10,000, 2,40,000 is the answer on which tax is payable under RCM. See, question number 10. The total ITC that can be availed by Bhakti and Sons for December is total ITC. Obviously, then we have
so they are saying December.
Yes.
So any information regarding October, November, January, that will not be relevant.
Yes. And see the total ITC available. So once again, we need to see the inward supply table only. We need not go to the outward supply table. So purchase of TV sets from see now I will write regarding the ITC admissibility. TV sales purchase from registered dealer, interstate supply. In this case, one another point to note here is that here what is asked is this total input tax credit that can be availed by Bhakti and Sons for December. Here no bifurcation of CGST, SGST or IGST is asked, right? Because if you have to calculate, then you have to make, keep three separate terms: CGST, SGST, IGST, and you have to decide what amount is falling under which entry. Here you don't have to bifurcate, you just have to determine the total ITC. So you need not go deep into the nature of the supply, whether on this IGST will apply or CGST, SGST. Basically, you can apply, in this case, in fact, total value is asked, so obviously you need not determine the amount as well. So purchase of TV sets 30 lakh, but costing rupees 25,000, one LED TV was damaged. And as you know, one damage, basically section 17.5 gets provoked in your mind. Section 17.5 relating to the blocks credit. It says that ITC is blocked in case of damaged goods. So 30 lakh minus 25,000, that is 30 minus 0.25, so 29.75, right, is the value on which ITC can be claimed. Purchase of refrigerators from registered dealers, yes, you can claim ITC. Purchase of washing machine from unregistered dealers, no, ITC cannot be claimed because section 16 specifically says that every registered person say this can claim ITC if this is used in the course of furtherance of business. So if you have made any purchases from unregistered person, then ITC,
Because
obviously,
unregistered person would not have charged
charge
any GST on his supplies. So you cannot claim any ITC. You are a registered person, though you are a registered person, but you have purchased from an unregistered person and he would not have charged any GST. Had it been inverts of RCM supplies, then you would have to you have to pay GST on your own. Otherwise, in a forward charge case, if you are purchasing from unregistered person, no GST will be charged from you and no tax
No
would be,
ITC, yes.
ITC would be available.
Mr. Raj and Pradeep has given the very correct answer. Blocked ITC is damaged, and Pradeep has also says that registered and for lost, stolen, destroyed ITC is blocked. So transportation cases, reverse charge was apply, and IT, as we have discussed, in the inception of this session, that if anything is taxable under reverse charge, basically the point to note here is that yes, ITC is available in case of services taxable under reverse charge. The only point which is the only difference which it makes is that while paying the liability which is taxable under reverse charge, we cannot use the ITC, but ITC of that particular service is available to us. So yes, ITC is available. It is not taxable under reverse charge, so no ITC in this case. Then loading and unloading charges paid to laborer. Laborers are also unregistered persons, so no ITC. And in these two cases, ITC will be available. So basically these three items, yani ki 0.1, 0.3, 0.4, 2.4, and this 4 plus 4, 6.4. So 29.75 plus 6.4 comes to 36.15. And the correct answer is, I have calculated the value of supply, and in this case, the total ITC is asked from, you have to apply the rate. The only difference is that in all the cases, 18% rate will be applicable, but in case of GTA, 5% will be applicable. GTA, 5%.
Because GTA is an unregistered GTA.
Yeah.
And that means that person GTA would not have exercised the option to pay tax on its own. So forward charge cannot be applied. Forward charge, if only in case of forward charge, 12% rate is applicable. So that implies that here 5% rate is
In fact,
applicable.
rate is already given to you,
Yeah,
transportation of goods service. So in case of GTA, you have to apply 5%. Rest in other cases, 18%. You in these type of questions, you can rather, just to save time, I will advise you, rather than calculating the rate, rather than calculating ITC for each and every item separately, you just can get the total. In case of GTA, you apply the rate 5%, and for others, you just combine them and multiply by 18%. So it will, save time for you. So coming to the question number 11, total GST payable in cash. The point to note is it is GST payable in cash by Bhakti and Sons for the month of December, assuming that no ITC is claimed availed by it.
So you have to ignore the ITC provisions.
Yeah, we have already discussed the ITC, the supplies on which ITC is available. Now we have to calculate the total GST payable in cash. So what do we, total GST payable in cash? Basically, reverse charge all the entries which we have discussed, which I have discussed with you. In case of reverse charge, I am again emphasizing that all the tax services which are taxable under reverse charge, the liability has to be discharged in cash. ITC cannot be used because reverse charge are, supplies which are covered under reverse charge are not covered in the output tax, and ITC can only be used to pay the output tax. So for reverse charge, cash is to be used. And in case of outward supply, since it is asked to ignore the ITC, so we are assuming that they are also to be paid by cash only. So in this case, we will take in case of we will take all the reverse charge, these three entries, and the case of outward supplies, supply of goods to unregistered person, to unregistered person, to registered person in West Bengal, repair and maintenance services. No, none of our outward supply is exempt. So all the services you can total them, add them, and calculate at the rate of 18%. It will save you time. Just add them because none of the services taxable under reverse charge. None of the services exempt. Basically, no outward supply is exempt. You just add the 12 plus 6 plus 28 plus 4, then multiply by 18%, and then just add the RCM, services taxable under RCM. That is these three. 2 plus 0.3 plus 0.1 and multiplied by 80%, 18%, then 9,17,000 will come. That is your answer.
So correct option is option A.
Okay. So coming to the question number 12, the penalty that may be leviable for failure to display registration certificate in a prominent location in GSTN or name board at the entry of principal place of business by Bhakti and Sons. This information is given in here in point number 8. So what is the amount of penalty? As we know that as per rule 18 of CGST rules, it says that display of registration certificate in GSTN in a prominent place is mandatory. It is mandatory it is to be displayed at principal as well as at every additional place of business, and non-compliance of the same will attract the penalty of rupees 25,000 as per section 125 of the CGST Act, wherever no penalty has been prescribed.
Residual penalty.
It is also known as residual penalty because where no specified penalty has been given in that particular in particular contravention.
You would have seen shops have GST number at their board itself, where their name or the company is given. At that case itself, they specifically mention the GST number because it should be given at a very prominent place. So many people or many businesses, they mention it at the board itself, which is given at the outside or which is there outside their
Yes.
shop. So they mention the GST number. Next time you go to any shop, so try to locate that.
Yeah, here, since we are running short of time, I just want to emphasize on 2 points. One student has also asked, Mr. Gaurav has
Some
asked,
changes there in
some
small
minute
changes,
change,
two
very
small changes are there
basically
in
what
MCQ.
has been taken place. So instead of getting worried, what has been, what all changes have been.
We have actually
made.
already carried that out in
Yes.
the MTP, which we will be attempting. So all of you who are going to attempt MTP can straight away download the file and
Right.
attempt the MTP. That point, that corrigendum is only for the students who have already attempted it, maybe 10-15 days back. For them, we have given that information. So we are taking those two questions quickly.
That is question number 14.
So that you
and
know
one,
that what is the point?
what is the
here.
change? Basically, it is question number 14, MCQ 14, and one sub part of the descriptive question. Farhan Khan, an Indian resident who was on a visit to Japan, returned after 1 year. For contesting in assembly election of his state. He carried with him personal effects. As we know that personal effects are exempt whatever may be the value, and one laptop is also allowed. So these things are exempt.
They will not, no duty will be charged for
Yes.
the.
He brought jewelry of 15 grams from Japan of 48,000. Now, this person, if had he been returning before 1 year, then jewelry allowance would not be allowed to him. But as per Rule 5 of baggage rules, if a passenger has been residing abroad for more than a year and he returns to India, then he shall be allowed duty-free clearance of jewelry up to a limit. Since he is gentleman, he is a man. So in this case, 20 grams value is rupees 50,000. One typographical mistake was there. It was 98,000. It
You
is
have to read
basically
it
the
as
48,000. And a music system of rupees 50,000. Music system, one music system, 50,000. So customs duty payable has been asked. So as we know, in these two cases, personal effects and laptop is already exempt. And the jewelry, the limit is 50,000. So no duty is leviable on it. And music system 50,000 and general duty free allowance, GFA, which says that is also allowed up to the limit of
So music
50,000.
system will be included in general free
GFA
allowance.
and the value of baggage for which duty is payable, customs duty payable by Farhan Khan will comes out to be nil in this case, right?
So, Raj and Pradeep has correctly pointed out the provision. Raj has given correct answer and Pradeep has
Right.
given correct provision.
So I hope that we have already, gone through all the significant points, the manner how you need to solve the paper and the way of answering the multiple choice questions. Let me highlight you the point 5B
Question 5,
first.
part B.
In this, it has been
Point
clarified. Actually, there was some doubt. So issues invoice without any underlying supply.
This has been
This has been
clarification.
clarified for, so that you don't get confused. You don't have to assume basically whether it's false in
Because we
section
told you that
132
sometimes
clause.
you have to
Yes.
assume in the question.
Yes.
So here we, eliminated that
So this,
particular
yes. So
possibility.
this, it has been clarified in the question itself.
And Yogita is asking, ma'am, can we attend all 6 questions if time allows? Then what is checking pattern? Yogita, earlier it used to be like 5 best questions used to be assessed, evaluated. But now you have to specifically contact the examination department whether they evaluate the question sequentially, or is it that 5 best answers will be evaluated. That you have to confirm from the exam department. But we would suggest that you should attempt only the questions which you know for the best. But yes, you can confirm this point from the examination.
Pradeep is asking false or dummy invoice since, see Pradeep, Bhaskar has issued invoice without any underlying supply. So,
it's a
obviously it
dummy
is a dummy
invoice.
invoice because no supply has been made and he has just
So
issued
he has
the
correctly
invoice.
pointed out
Right.
that it's a dummy invoice, which is the pain area for the government these days.
Right.
So being a responsible chartered accountants, future chartered accountants, you have to discourage such type of practices, and we are very sure that you all will be very ethical in your practice when you all become
once you
chartered
qualify,
accountants.
yeah.
After these examinations, November 2024 examinations, we will be we are expected to get so many calls from you people that you have qualified, you have become chartered accountant, or you have qualified the group which you have cleared, you were targeting. So all the best for your exam.
And all the best for your examination. Thank you for the patience.
Thanks for the patient listening. Thank you.